I'd love to go a little bit deeper about customer onboarding. You mentioned it's a separate team, and I'd be curious, like, why a CSM shouldn't be a part of onboarding, and then just generally, like, how do you think about kind of building a strong customer onboarding program?
Well, first of all, I definitely don't think this isn't obvious to me that onboarding and customer success should always be separate functions. It like absolutely depends on the nature of the business. And I think it has to do with sort of like the nature of the product and also the growth of the business. Those are like two big factors in deciding like, do you specialize this or not? Because there's cost benefit. Like I think about it differently versus support. Like every company needs to have a great customer support function. That's like a non-negotiable. But this separate implementation function, I think it depends. So the reasons why we decided to separate customer implementations, customer onboarding from customer success, which used to run it on its own, there were like two main drivers. One was our growth, which you were around for so much of. Customers take a ton of effort at the beginning. It is, I think, unarguably the most important moment in a customer in the customer life cycle, because it's like I have to think about, like, they get so excited at when they're buying, and it's like we're selling them the dream, and they're like, if you don't deliver a great onboarding, it's like this like trough of disillusionment where it's like, oh, I thought it was going to be this, and now this is like so sad. And so you need to like do a great job with getting time to value and like keeping the level the same as the experience in the sales process. So that takes a lot of effort. And if you've got a CSM who's got a bunch of accounts who are on onboarding and other customers who need their attention too, the customers who are in this like steady state are going to end up suffering because they just like there's so much that has to go into the new customers. So that's like a really big part of it. And just like and the when you're growing as fast as Lattice has grown, it's not like that more economical to have the CSMs do it, right? It's like it's better to specialize it and like be able to run these projects really efficiently. So that was certainly a really big part of it. And then the other part is like there is some variance in skill set around what it takes. Like there's a bunch of like integration work and like data transformation and like things that happen in the beginning that like CSMs might not be great at. And like when you think about what skills you're hiring for and training for. So I think the more I would often think about keeping these roles together in a world where you really need like where there's a lot of benefit of continuity across the relationship from the start, where you're not necessarily dealing with the same sort of growth situation that we have at Lattice. And then also when you see like major overlap of skill set, right? If you're basically asking, if you're hiring like the same profile and asking them to do the same thing, that's like probably a good signal that you don't need a separate function.
Do you think like I guess successful onboarding or bad onboarding is like a predictive of whether someone's going to renew or churn at the end of the agreement? Like, do you think those two things are related?
Oh yeah, definitely, like hugely related. I mean, there are some companies like, I mean, the Lattice product, we've got so many different programs that we enable. So onboarding usually like the first couple of months is like they'll get one or two of their programs started on Lattice, but like people will be rolling out new programs all the time at Lattice. At Talkdesk, like the more you work in sort of like infrastructure or workflow, there's more of a like get it all done at the beginning. And I think it's like even more important in those sorts of environments because they're often coming off of another system and there's like a go live, and that go live like really, really matters. And if you goof on that, you're digging out of that hole forever.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point that like Lattice's onboarding is actually like very ongoing, where it's like somebody
Yes.
starts with one part of the product and then 2 months later they start caring about OKRs or whatever it is and start rolling
Yes.
that out. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like what is
Ve-
go live at Lattice, right? Like it is different for every customer depending on what programs they're launching with.